When we think about ancient Egypt, our minds usually jump to giant temples, golden sarcophagi, you know the drill. But today, we're going to bypass all of that. We're going to uncover a side of Egyptian faith that was way more personal, way more intimate, and for millions of people, a whole lot more important.
Okay, let's just do a quick thought experiment. When I say Egyptian religion, what's the first image that pops into your head? I'm willing to bet it's massive statues of gods with animal heads, right? Or pharaohs and vast stone temples. Maybe something about the sun god Ra and the underworld. And look, you're not wrong. But that's only seeing a tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle.
You see, for the vast majority of people, we're talking the farmers, the craftspeople, the soldiers, those big state gods were about as accessible as the pharaoh himself. Their faith, the thing that got them through the day, happened in a much smaller, much more immediate space, their own home.
So yeah, we're going beyond the pyramids. We're going to explore the real, everyday religion of the average Egyptian. And this was a faith that wasn't about distant, cosmic gods. It was about divine guardians who were practically members of the family and who cared about the gritty, messy realities of daily life.
It really was a tale of two completely different religions coexisting. On one side, you've got the official state cult. Its concerns were huge, abstract things, maintaining cosmic order, making sure the king was seen as legitimate, and, the whole journey to the afterlife for the elite. But on the other side, you had household religion, and its concerns were things that kept people up at night. Is my baby going to survive being born? How do I keep my family safe from scorpions and snakes? And what in the world can I do about these awful nightmares?
So how did this super-personal, home-based faith become so important in the first place? Well, to get that, we have to go back in time, to a period of incredible national trauma, an age of anxiety that really reshaped the Egyptian soul.
For centuries, during what we call the Old Kingdom, Egypt was this incredibly stable, prosperous place. The central government was strong, the pharaoh was basically a god on earth, and the system just worked. But then, around 2134 BCE, that entire system just shattered. The government collapsed, and it plunged Egypt into 100 years of civil war, famine, and total chaos. We call it the First Intermediate Period.
And the texts that were written later, looking back on this time, wow, they are just filled with this absolute horror. One text describes a world turned completely upside down. It says, "Pestilence is throughout the land, blood is everywhere, the river is blood, yet men drink from it." Just imagine the kind of psychological scar a century of that would leave on an entire people.
And here's the crucial takeaway. When the earthly institutions, the pharaoh, the state, the whole system, failed so spectacularly, people just lost faith in them. The great state gods seemed so far away, so unconcerned with their suffering. People needed help from the divine that was more reliable, more accessible, more invested in their personal survival. They needed gods who lived next door.
And this desperate need for protection, it gave rise to the worship of a totally different kind of pantheon. These weren't the calm, majestic gods you'd see in the state temples. No, these were the household gods, strange-looking, fierce, and incredibly protective. Okay, so let me describe one of the most important of these divine guardians to you. I want you to picture a creature with the body of a heavily pregnant hippopotamus. You got that? Now, add the back and the tail of a crocodile. Give it the legs and paws of a lion. And finally, the breasts of a human woman. It sounds like something from a nightmare, right? Well, that was exactly the point.
Meet Taweret. Her name literally means the Great One, and her terrifying appearance was her greatest weapon. She's what scholars call an apotropaic goddess, which is just a fancy way of saying her monstrous form was designed to frighten away other evil things, like demons and diseases that threatened mothers and their babies during childbirth.
And why was a goddess like this so desperately needed? Get ready for this number. In ancient Egypt, the infant mortality rate is estimated to have been a staggering 30%. 1 in every 3 children didn't survive. All of a sudden, the need for a fierce, hippo-crocodile-lion goddess in your corner makes a whole lot of sense. But Taweret didn't work alone. Her partner in protecting the home was an equally strange and powerful figure, a demon god named Bes.
So Bes was a guardian of childbirth, but also of sleep and dreams. He was always shown as a dwarf with a lion's mane and ears, often sticking his tongue out. And here's what's so cool and unique about him. He's almost always shown facing you head on. Now, in traditional Egyptian art, everything's in profile to show order and harmony. A frontal view was jarring, it was chaotic, which was perfect for a demon god whose job was to fight chaos with chaos, scaring away anything from snakes to nightmares to sickness.
All right, so we've met the gods, but what did worshiping them actually look like? Where did these life or death spiritual moments happen? The answer wasn't in some grand temple. It was right there inside the home.
Forget the palaces. This is a plan of a workman's village. You can see these tight, uniform rows of houses. We're talking small, multi-purpose rooms where entire families lived and cooked and slept and, yes, worshipped, all under the very same roof.
And inside one of these little houses, a family might create their own sacred space. It wasn't anything grand. It might just be a small painted niche carved into the wall, or a simple mud brick platform that acted as an altar, kind of like this reconstruction. This little spot was the absolute heart of the family's religious life.
And the practice itself was so direct, so hands-on. You'd place your little statue of Bes or Taweret in that niche. You'd give them daily offerings, a little piece of bread, a splash of beer, to keep them present and powerful in your home. And most importantly, you would talk to them directly, reciting magical spells to ask for their protection.
And these weren't some vague, lofty prayers. They were direct, practical, urgent commands. We actually have some of these spells written on papyrus. Listen to this one, used during a difficult birth to call on Bes. "O good dwarf, come, because of the one who sent you. Come down, placenta. Come down, placenta. Come down." This isn't abstract theology. This is a desperate, magical plea to your divine ally in a moment of absolute crisis.
So, when we put all these pieces together, what we see is a picture of Egyptian religion that is just profoundly different from the one we usually imagine. We see a deeply personal faith. For the silent majority of ancient Egypt, faith wasn't about trying to please some distant cosmic god you could never actually meet. It was an intimate, daily partnership. It was about having divine bodyguards like Bes and Taweret living right there in your home, sharing your food, and fighting right alongside you against the very real dangers of the world.
And all this kind of leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. In our own modern world full of these huge institutions and big organized systems of belief, what, if anything, have we lost by moving our sense of the sacred out of the home and away from our daily lives? What happens when the gods don't live next door anymore?